I'm Shane Nyland, and my co host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi 2004. All right, man. Let's tell everybody who you are.
All right, I'm David Escalante with 2-4 81st Platoon Sledgehammer, and I was a PFC when I was with them in 04, Ramadi.
Nice.
There you go.
Cool, man. We'll start off wherever you want, man.
Yeah, I mean, so when I joined the Marine Corps in 2003, June 16th. So that was boot camp. And then from boot camp, I remember the Crucible time. I remember for some reason my hip popped out. So I went in like at 145 pounds. And then from there, they put me in like the fat body. So then during my training time there, I dropped down to like 118. So
Holy cow.
That was kind of crazy. Right? Yeah. So when I got with you guys, I was like 118 pounds, and I was only like 5'4". So
I was going to say, when you said that you were 145 pounds, I was like, that does not sound like the Escalante that I remember.
No, I was pretty scrawny, or look scrawny. I don't know.
Light and fast, man. Light and fast.
What else? Where'd I go? Yeah. So, from boot camp, I remember going to SOI. From there, I remember, we did the training. I was originally just going to be an 11, and then for some reason they were like, hey, you know what? You're going to be an 81. So I didn't even get any training on the mortars. And so when we were going to 2-4 with 2-4, Emerson Fuegos, he came over with a Humvee, and it was like me, Chachi, and I think Lloyd was with us. And he picked us up in the Humvee and drove us over to San Mateo area, and that's when when I got introduced to the fleet with 2-4.
Wait, so you only did the 11s package?
Yeah, School of Infantry. I was just straight up 11. I don't know if you remember when I came to you guys. You're like, oh, yeah, we can what is it, like bad habits? I don't remember. Do you remember that, Musser?
I had forgotten about it. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I was like, what is 81? I never could train for this, so I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was probably gonna go with like Espinosa and all those guys from Echo Company, or maybe Golf. I don't know. I could have been with one of those companies instead of Weapons Company. So for whatever reason, I got selected to go with you guys. So they're like, yeah, I think they needed bodies over there, so I got sent to you guys.
Well, I'm glad that it happened.
Yeah, same. Likewise.
So
what I get with
when would you have gotten to 2-4? Were you one of the December drops, or was that more in January?
I want to say December, because I don't remember how long the School of Infantry took. So it was like 13 weeks of training from June. So
Sure. Yeah.
September.
Do you remember doing the March Air Force Base?
Yeah, I was there for that.
Okay.
Yeah, me and Gloy were there. I think if there's a picture I have of Gloy or something like that, with the 81 tube and something like that. So yeah, we did the March Air Force training. Did we ever do Sears course before we headed out to Ramadi, or was that afterwards?
That would have been afterwards. I did okay. Sears. I did a Sears course in 2002, to get SOC qualled to go on to the 31st, but we didn't need to get SOC qualled to go to Iraq. So you guys would have done that for your second, the deployment to Oki after we got back. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if we did any of that training for down pilots or anything like that beforehand, or that wasn't none of that.
I mean, we were. I mean, you might be partially thinking about the fact that we did go up to Bridgeport, but I don't think you were there for our Bridgeport training because I think we did that.
I wasn't there with you guys.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
That makes sense.
So what do you remember of any other training that you specifically remember prior to us going? I mean, you were pretty. I mean, being that boot and whatnot, you were probably your head was still spinning, so it's probably hard to remember anything. But
yeah, I remember being trained as the ammo man for 81s, learning the mortar tube and all that. So just remember that stuff. And then we did that March. Was it the Air Force training that we did? And then the Mount Town. I remember that. So we did some of that. I remember Sergeant Condi. He was as we were going into the room, like he like corrected us and showed us like a better way or how to enter that. So that kind of set that for me for that. So nice. I kind of remember that part from him. So, yeah, and then after that, that was all I can remember for our training.
That's fair.
Or the speed reloading too, I guess. Speed reloading and doing all that stuff. So.
Yeah, going into the backyard and just doing that for a while. Yeah. So moving on to us getting over there, crazy plane ride over and the early part of in Kuwait. Any specific memories of that first phase?
Yeah. Were we on the C-130 when we were flying over? And that propeller caught on fire or something like that?
Yeah, we lost an engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Didn't know if the pilots were going to leave us or let us go for that or turn back around. So glad that they didn't abandon us. We'll get to what was that, New Jersey for the ice, all the snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, McGuire Air Force Base, I think it was called. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of remember that.
Once we get to Kuwait, do you have any memories of being in Kuwait?
Yeah, I remember being in those tents. We just got there. It was kind of like Arizona hot, 110 to 120. I don't know, pretty hot there. So getting acclimated to that temperatures coming from the California weather and then out there to desert weather. So yeah, a little bit of acclimating to that. A little bit of PT, a little bit of running with our flaks and all that, trying to get back into just acclimation out there, getting ready for Iraq. So Ramadi. Where was that? That one Marine too that was ended up shooting himself. I remember getting that story, and I can't remember too much from that, but I just remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
Just I guess a lot of guys were just feeling the pressure and stuff getting into that. So it kind of makes it kind of like, oh, here we go. Like, are we? You guys ready? Are we going to be ready and all that?
So now, remind me, did you end up? How did you get up to Ramadi?
We drove up in the convoy, so we were in the back of a 7-ton. So had our rifles with us, just as watching outwards as we drove by, and then sleeping for most of the time. I don't remember stopping at any cities and stuff like that. I just remember hearing once we got through Fallujah. I remember we kind of like did a pause, and then we're just like just watching out and getting ready for any kind of contact or maybe some kind of activity. And then I remember vividly like this white car that was there that was kind of all burned up. And it was just like eerie quiet, and there's like nobody there, so it was kind of like, oh, okay. There's Fallujah. We just hear about and whatnot. And so kind of glad we didn't get into any confrontation on our way getting to Ramadi. So that was kind of nice. So, but I don't remember how long that drive was or anything. So I just remember people yelling about getting excited about when they saw some camels or something like that. But for the most part, it was just plain desert.
Sure. Yeah, that was some very open drive in there for a while. That's for sure. Any specific memories of coming into Ramadi specifically or Hurricane Point?
Yeah. So as we get into Hurricane Point, I remember we were being welcomed with mortar rounds, and then I right underneath one or something or run right into it. So we were just joking about that right away. So remember that part. Then we see our tents where we're gonna sleep, be living in for a while. So I remember that. We had our Humvees ready. We had our guns and all that on our Humvees and stuff like that. So I remember those Humvees that we're driving around in. Yeah, do you remember that part? Were you there with us, Buster, when that happened?
When which happened?
When we got there, we were offloading, and then the mortar rounds were coming, and do you remember Stadelman running around or anything like that?
No, I don't remember that. No. I think you guys might.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah,
sure.
I remember.
I'm not sure if we came up in separate convoys though. So I might have because I don't I remember the second convoy having some more 81s in it. So
Maybe I've been part of that one. I don't know. Yeah, I remember seeing Jonathan Wade, Corporal Wade there, stuff like that. So I don't know what else.
well,
And then
if Wade was there, I was there because Wade was my A driver, but on the drive up. But I don't remember.
okay.
I don't remember the first incoming.
Okay. Yeah. The one mission, well, not one mission, but I remember we were you rotate QRF.
Yep.
Day QRF, night QRF. What else?
Day taskable, night
Security at
taskable.
the on base. Yeah, doing all that. See that first KI that I remember that stuck with me too was I thought we were there for that engineer, and you guys saying it was Dang, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Lance Corporal Dang.
Rainmaker were out there. Lance Corporal Dang. Yeah, that one stood out to me for that one. Because I remember we got out there and we posted security, and then they were just cleaning up all the area, securing the area. Just remember being there to secure that area. So.
Yeah, that was pretty early in the deployment too, because we drove up March 6th and 7th, and then Lance Corporal Dang was on March 22nd. So you'd basically been in country 2 weeks, and that was the first KIA.
Yep.
And got our first KIA.
Yep. And then a little bit before that was when Worth got hit.
Yep. 2 days before that, Worth got hit by the bike IED.
Yeah. Yeah, I had totally forgotten about that until I heard you guys on the podcast. So I remember being on that vehicle, not in that vehicle, but in the a couple of vehicles down when that happened, hearing that explosion.
What do you remember of some of the early missions? Do you have many memories?
Some of the memories are kind of like a blur. So a lot of stuff, I don't remember a lot of the stuff. So just remember a few things here and there.
Yeah, a lot of those early
those
missions was us
that's
just
one of the
driving
main
around.
incidents that I can remember. Hmm. Yeah, just like you said, we're doing like care package, handing out soccer balls and things like that to the kids. And then that went south pretty quickly. So
Being pretty new to the unit and new to the Marine Corps and all that, were you nervous? Were you excited? What were you thinking while we were going on some of these early missions?
yeah, it was pretty nerve wracking, pretty I don't know, anxious, and I don't know, just keeping a lookout for everything, really. Looking up top of buildings, windows, areas. I mean, there's trash everywhere, so
Yeah.
looking at every little thing, everybody. So it's like uh, your mind's kind of running through and racing, and you're just trying to figure out the city, trying to see who the bad people are and who everybody is, really.
And I know you guys switched up truck teams a lot, but who was in your squad? Who was your squad leader and who was in your squad?
Um, we rotated trucks. I was dismount for a lot of it until the later end. So, I just remember being with Chachi a lot, with Hernandez.
Yeah.
I think I had been with Man and Osboss too at sometimes. But yeah, sometimes I would be with Rocha, sometimes I was with Wade, and sometimes I was with Musser. So kind of rotating a lot.
Mm.
So back and forth between, we dismount and then pull security and just walk with the vehicles. And then at other times, I'm up on the gun. So kind of rotated like that.
Did you have a preference of what you were doing? Do you like to be dismount or up on the gun or?
Um, yeah, dismount was pretty fun. I mean, we would be going through the homes and then we'd clear them out and things like that, or post security. But I think later on I was with the 240, and I remember having that. So I think I don't know what happened, that there was a 240 and somebody was like, I think it was Staff Sergeant Cook said that who wants to saw, and I raised my hand up right away, and I was like, I'll take it. There had more ammunition, more fighting power than just my rifle. So
Sure.
so, but
Did you ever engage off of the 240?
yeah, it was the saw I did that one time. We were doing a convoy. I mean, security for the convoy, and we were at combat outposts. And then
Yeah.
on our way to somewhere else, that they received contact. And then I remember Andretti had been firing at one direction, so I followed suit and started firing towards that top of that building.
Okay.
And I can remember because we had that burnt in the middle, those big old concrete in the center.
The Jersey barriers,
so
yeah.
Kind of trapped behind that. Yeah, those Jersey barriers. And then I remember Rocha and some other guys dismounted, and when there was shooting going on, they were like hiding behind a chain link fence, like for cover, and we're like, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
No, I remember. I remember. I remember that. Yes. No,
Yeah.
because I was stacked up on the other side, and I think Stadelman was kneeling underneath me, and I remember looking across and I was like, "What? You're taking cover behind a chain link fence? What are you doing? Like, that's neither cover or concealment."
Yeah. So I was like watching that happen while I'm laying down some cover fire. I was like, "Oh God." And I think you guys ended up clearing that building and capturing that one guy that was, I don't know, was he the army or regime or something like that?
Yeah, he was some guy. I can't remember, but no, I remember he was something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but and he pissed. He thought he was getting away with something because he tried to get rid of his weapon, but we still took him. I remember you on a couple. I remember you on a couple of door kicks. I think that was earlier on though. You coming in with me on some of
Mhm.
those raids.
Yeah, I think no, we had those big bug hunts, and then we had that other mission with the Rangers. I thought they were,
Yes.
and we got intel saying that there's going to be like I don't know 50 people with armed up and people that were going to be on the rooftops, just waiting to I don't know just as security for us before we got there. And, just remember we like one team goes in, and then I don't know if I was the second or third team going in, and so one team goes straight into that to the house, and then there's like another living area to the right, and this was like dark time, and so like me and Chachi go and clear that area out, and there's like 2 or 3 floors that we have to clear out. Then then you guys secure all those people inside that house, and then Oliver North was with us too that time, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those Ranger guys or whoever they were trying to take credit for that, and then Oliver North was like, no, you guys didn't do anything. So these guys are the ones that did all the clearing out and got those guys. And I just remember throwing those guys up into the Humvees and whatnot. So,
That
yeah,
is
that's kind of
that is
interesting.
one of my favorite memories ever. I'll take it one step further because those guys were trying to get into Oliver North's shot, and he like face palmed them out of the way. He was like, "Stay out of my shot. You didn't do shit."
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
That was
Yeah,
also
I
the hit
recall
that
that. Those were
that was also the hit that there was some assets there that some intelligence agencies that were in Iraq came in and took their assets out before we took everybody to get interrogated. That was a that was a new experience
oh
too
nice.
because it was these two random guys that got through the cordon obviously with their credentials and stuff like that, but they looked Iraqi. They were wearing local garb, and then they came to the gate, and I don't know who. I think it was Gloy maybe that was kind of holding the gate, and he called me over because they were asking for who was in charge, so he called me over, and he was like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, "We got some guys in here that we need to take," and I was like, "You're not, nope." And then they made me go get Staff Sergeant Cook, and the Staff Sergeant Cook got, I think Captain Weiler was out there, and Captain Weiler came over and he was like, "No, let him get who he needs, Musser." And so he grabbed we had everybody bagged, and they kept picking up the bags and looking at their faces, and then they found the two guys, and they're like, "Where's their shit?" And we had to give it back, and then they just left and walked down the street with their two guys.
The one fellow was,
Right.
I assume they were both CIA, but the one fellow was definitely CIA because he had come to the palace. He was a white guy, and he wore makeup and had used
No
like
shit.
whatever just for
Yeah.
men to dye
Yeah,
his hair
yes.
or whatever. Like, but when he took off his whole costume when he was meeting with Colonel Kennedy at the palace, I mean, he was clearly like a white dude from Illinois, like not a or wherever, but he was not definitely not Arab in any way.
That's too funny. So
Oh yeah.
so any other raids that you remember or any other missions?
I mean, through the bug hunt, we were just going through house to house, clearing through houses, uh, donkey kicking those doors open and whatnot, and using just force to go through a lot of those doors when we had to, and just clearing through the city.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Were you with me when we were holding? It was at the beginning of one of the bug hunts, and we were on outer cordon, and we were holding like this elevated road. And I mean, the long story short is the guy ended up running our checkpoint because he didn't have any brakes. Um, but uh, but the beginning of
Oh,
that was when we got mortared. I mean, the rounds were coming down next to us, and if I remember correctly, it was you, me, and Doc on the back side of the berm when those rounds first started landing, and remember tucking into the smallest possible little pill bug I could possibly make, and just hope that those rounds weren't going to walk in on us.
You talking about the one where they were going to the mass with the interpreter and the camera guy, or a different time?
Different time.
Different time.
No, we were.
Man.
It was an outer.
We were at
It was an outer cordon, and we were way up north. And it was an elevated S curve coming near. There were some palm trees. There were some people on the other side. I know Sergeant Escalante was on the other side of the road, and I was on a berm, and then there was like a ruined house that another element was at, and then we were holding that position, and it started with it was one of the times that they started the bug hunt by dropping mortar rounds, and they basically dropped it right on our heads.
That specifically was the first bug hunt on April 10th.
And then later on, then it was the tow truck driver that ran our checkpoint, but that's because he didn't have any brakes, and every last one of us opened up on him, on that poor bastard. And he got shot to hell, but he lived. Like, not a single one of the bullets hit him in a vital position. But I thought it was you that came. I thought it was you, me, and Doc that was behind the berm, because we were supposed to be a contact element. And coming up on that dude, that poor guy he probably got hit 30 times, but again, not a single one of them hit him in the head or in the chest. So I don't know how we've managed to. It was all in his hands and his legs. So we got him patched up as best we could and got him off to the hospital.
Yeah. Did we? Yeah. I can't remember if that was me or not. That one doesn't ring a bell to me. That's crazy, yeah.
Well, kind of sticking with that same time frame. What do you remember from around that time, around April 6th through 10th?
I think for the most part we were on guard duty at that time. So I was pretty much stuck on guarding the Hurricane Point.
Sure.
Yep.
On bridge, and I think I was on watch at that time, and remember hearing everything going on, and just being like, oh man, like I wanted to get out there too as well. I wanted us to go out there and help out, but I think at that time we were told we had to stay. So.
And were you on Northbridge primarily, or were you on Southbridge some too?
Which one would be, if you're looking inside base, it would be the one on the right. Is that the south?
That would be Southbridge. Yeah, that's the one in between Camp Hurricane Point and Junction City.
Right, that's the one I was always on.
Okay. And so from Southbridge, could you see anything? Did you ever see anything up there while everything was going on?
I think the one time, it's probably like later on, because the Cobras, I remember seeing that happen, and then shooting into one of the areas, and I remember seeing that part.
Okay.
And then I was like, wow, that's awesome, because it was one of them Cobras from the Marine Corps, so I thought that was pretty awesome seeing that happen from the bridge.
Yeah.
But still stuck on watch, so. But yeah, no, I think we were told that something about intel that they were going to have, they were trying to breach into our bases and stuff like that. So we were just kind of getting ready for that type of invasion or something like that. But thankfully, no, we didn't really receive any contact at Hurricane Point at that time.
And then obviously we just talked about everything with the first bug hunt, and then you did a lot of house to house searching and holding a north part of the outer cordon. You remember much of the fallout of all that? Do you remember any of the memorial services or anything else, or any of the guys that got wounded?
Yeah, it was hard to get all the information. I know there was a lot of us from like boot camp that we served together, and just hearing the news from some of those guys, like remember Halal. He was one of the guys I served with in boot camp, and then there's a bunch of them that like Echo Company that I was with too, with Grimes and all these other guys. So yeah, it was kind of hard to hear all that, and just to be on base. So yeah, it's kind of devastating for all that.
Were you close with Halal in boot camp, or did you just happen to know him from your platoon?
He was just like we were all I was only 18 at the time, and so he was like the older guy, in the boot camp, and he was just that guy that had he was just dark like humor. He was just a very funny person, make us all laugh and stuff like that. So
Nice.
Sure.
those are some of the things that comes to mind for me.
Were you guys in the same SOI class too, or no?
I can't remember. Who he was. I'm sure we were, but I think we were like in different, I don't know, teams or something like that. So.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Well,
coming out of the backside of all of that, we ended up doing a lot of escorts. We ended up going out on a lot of specific raids and stuff like that. Coming into the next part, and I mean, I'm trying to remember if we were a part of the any specific missions coming into May, but prior to Savage getting killed, do you have any specific memories or any things back in the hooch?
Before that, I still remember being QRF for the Morris one, when Morris got hit with the RPG. I remember we went out there for that one.
Okay, that'd be the night of April 4th.
Yeah, so that one was pretty tough. I know. Forgot we were on watch or something like that. I think he was next in line on the hooch for me to wake him up or something like that. And I don't know what happened, but I don't know. There was some kind of issue between me and him, and and then I think I don't know what we were fighting about or what set him off, but I remember he had mentioned something about, oh, man, I wish you would die or something like that, and I said the same back to him, and then I felt bad, like, if he passed away from being over there, so that was kind of hard. I don't even remember what we were fighting over.
You're talking about Morris?
Yeah, Morris.
Yeah. When did this happen? Was this in?
Yeah. It was back in the hooch. I don't know. I think we were doing like watch or something like that for comm or listening to the radio. I don't remember.
Interesting. I mean, it's because he was in my platoon. Our two platoons weren't together too often, so that's an interesting interaction. I would love to know when that. I mean, obviously, if you don't remember, but that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, you guys could have been on a gear watch together. That's definitely possible. There was always times when Gunny had random people doing all kinds of things.
That could have been it. I can't remember what it was or what happened, but that was so devastating to have that happen to him. But yeah, because I would interact with all the different people and the different platoons and all that too. So, and then we had our smoke pit out there and all that. So
yeah,
I remember all that.
Yeah, did you smoke or chew tobacco or what'd you do while you're over there?
Yeah, I ended up smoking. What we had Marble Reds and stuff like that. So
did you smoke?
I wasn't a smoker before that.
I was gonna say, did you smoke before? Yeah. Yeah, that's everybody, man.
Yeah, smoke break. There was a bunch of smoke breaks, so I caught on. So
yep.
figured I'd do the same.
Were you a reader or a movie watcher while you were over there? Or card player? Like, how did you pass your time?
Reader. Yeah. We play a little bit of cards, movies. There's some season called Lost or something like that we're all into. So I remember doing all that. And then the gym. So I remember me and Chachi would be in the gym a lot. and working out when we can. Another one that comes to mind. Remember that mission with we were QRF for what was it, H&S, when the guy in the RPG was shooting and Sergeant Major Booker shot him.
Yeah,
and,
Sure.
And so we got called out there, or I didn't show up. And I do remember you, Buster, specifically like, oh, we got to follow him. And so I think it was me, Chachi, you, Rocha. I think we ran with you guys, and we followed that trail of blood into that house.
yeah.
And we get to that house, and then one of the teams, I guess you were part of the first team, goes and clears that the first floor, go upstairs and whatever, and then me and Chachi go in next or last or whatever, and me and him are standing guard at the entry of the door, and so you guys are upstairs, and me and Chachi are like looking at, we're by the stairs, and to the left is the opening of where we entered, and then all of a sudden behind us we just hear Mister, and me and Chachi turn around, we turn on our flashlight, we just see this guy just walking towards us, and we're like, oh my god. And that's where we ran into that, got that whole family and turned that light on and got them separated, like the men and the women inside. So yeah, I remember that being pretty creepy. Like if that was the enemy, I'm sure we would have been gone.
Yeah, no, I do remember that one, because we found the body between the they had pulled it. I don't remember who. Somebody had found it. One of the other teams found it. It was outside in the courtyard, but they had drug it between the wall and the house. And so that was a fat bastard that they got.
Yeah,
but I think that was around the same time that we caught those other guys, and we had to run them down up in the Sophia area. I'm trying to remember more of that one. You sparked my thought on that. You chased them down the street, and we went into a couple different houses, but I can't. Yeah. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember who was with me.
I do remember that one time where it was the curfew and the martial law, and we ran up on those guys, and Staff Sergeant Cook and the interpreter took off running, and I'm on the high back at this point, and I'm like, are we all going to go with him or what? Should I go with him? And I jumped off, and I had the saw at the moment, and I just jumped off, and I started running behind them, and they're running down that alley, and it was just like them two, and then me behind, and I was like, what the hell? And I'm waiting for everybody else to come, and I'm like kind of just keeping an eye on the alley, and I can't remember if between one of those guys that they're chasing went into one of the houses or what. So I opened the door and looked, and then it was like a 2-story, and I don't see anybody. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm not going to go clear that house by myself. So I come back out, and then this lady opens the door and like steps out, and I'm all like ready to shoot. And then I got scared, and she got scared, and she goes back in. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So then I see somebody at the other end of the alley, like, hey, what's going on? And so we all meet up with down the other street with Staff Sergeant Cook and the interpreter, and that guy was shot, and he was there laying on the floor. And Doxy was with us on that one, and Sergeant E, and we're all there, surrounding his body and seeing him, like, he got shot in the head, so he's pretty much done for. So that was kind of crazy, that moment right there. Like, yeah, you guys said everybody separated and all that. So that was crazy.
Dude, it is a terrible feeling to look around and be like, I am by myself. This sucks.
Yeah. Especially with everybody. Thankfully, everybody.
Yeah, we definitely learned our lessons early on to be a little bit more not just to go off running.
Yeah. Oh man. What else?
So do you remember that patrol
Oh
that we
man.
did north? It was on Route Nova. It was way out, and like we were way out, and someone I for some I can't remember the details well enough of why this happened, but we were dismounted out, and then there was this young boy doing something weird, and so we captured him, and he was real young, and we were trying to get some information out of him, but somebody had dismounted and walked off into like there's some like trees or date trees growing, and there was just this
Mhm.
huge ammo dump. It was like anti-aircraft munitions, and it was just like 100 cases of it just piled up there. And it was like it was one of the first, like, I don't know if you want to call it a cache, but it was one of the first ones found.
Yeah.
And it was just a completely, I think somebody wandered over there to go take a piss type thing and found these all these
Nice.
ammo boxes full of
Oh,
anti-aircraft.
no, no. Man. Yeah, and all this time I can't remember us finding large caches like that. And I was always, I don't know, I guess wanted to be competitive and find those and be like the one, like, oh yeah, we found this one and all that. But yeah, no, I don't remember that one, that cache. So that's good. What else?
Well, shifting gears a little bit, man. What do you remember from hooch life? I know there's always crazy stuff going on. What kind of things other than just lifting weights in the gym? What else did you remember from people passing time?
Well, just smoke pit time, just hanging out there. Just remember those ants, like those long leg ants. Try to step on them and they wouldn't die, and I just remember those. Uh, Hooch life, we were just see the guys playing cards all the time, watching movies, uh, listening to music, stuff like that. So,
Did you ever contact home at all? Did you ever have anybody you were trying to keep in touch with?
yeah, I did call home a few times. I remember telling my mom, like, no news is good news, so don't hear anything from us. Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah,
So
that's a pretty good
I
tip.
remember telling her that, and I think I was on the phone one time with her, and she heard like some mortar rounds coming in, and I'm like, oh, okay, mom, we gotta go, love you. So just kind of leaving her in the air for that time. I was like, oh god. And thinking about that, that just brought up another memory. The time I was on South Ridge too, and the I don't know where it came from, but ended up getting shot up there. I guess on that one, and freaking out, thinking like, what? You got snipers or something like that. So I think we called that in, and they took a look at that factory out there.
Yeah.
Didn't find anything, and so I kept that round still. I still have that round that hit me in my flak jacket. So,
Oh,
and telling my mom about that, and so laying her about that situation, making sure that I'm
I
okay.
remember when you got hit.
did it stick in your sappy plate, or did it where did you or did it happen to skip off of something and just
No, it
catch
was
you?
above the snap.
Wow.
It seems like it was a straight round. It was like I should have got it out so I can show you guys. But it seems like it's like a 7.76 round or something. I don't know. I want to know if I can get a forensic and find out where that
Nice.
where it came from.
Well, did you end up getting wounded from either this round or from another time?
No, no, they never got the Purple Heart. I know. Do you remember having one of the sergeants be like, "Oh yeah, see if you got anything going on your back or anything?" But no, it just felt like somebody slapped me really hard, and I looked to my right, I was thinking it was David Sledden,
Yeah.
but I remember Kuroda saying he was up there with me, and Osma saying he was up there with me when that happened. So I can't remember who he was. So
That's crazy, man. I'm trying to imagine being that sniper and being like, I just shot that guy. And like he's just like brushing it off like it's a mosquito. That's really funny.
we look at each other, and I thought he smacked me, and I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And then me and him were like, "Oh no!" It was like we got shot. And then I could feel that round coming down my flat jacket. So he's checking me to see if I'm bleeding, and I'm like, "No, there's no blood." So I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness."
Nice.
Just thinking about it, just like if he would have gone up higher or whatnot, that could have hit me right in the neck or something worse. So
Yeah.
I was thankful. I had some guardian angels.
Did you ever see anything interesting off those bridge posts?
No, just looking out in the city. You can see like sometimes like what is it when they're driving from the Humvees, just driving across the bridge and stuff like that. So nothing in particular. Do you remember that one time we were? I think it was Martinez and Leilong were on the North Bridge, and we were on base just walking, and then they got hit with an RPG, and I remember seeing that, and when I saw that and heard that, like my heart sank, thinking like those guys were done or gone. And then I just remember them opening them back up with the 240 and be like, "Oh, they're good." And so that was kind of crazy. So yeah, that's kind of the world we're living in. Another time that I saw that similar happen was I don't know what we were doing in combat outposts, but it was myself, um, Chachi, Osmos, and Winder, and we were with the trucks, and everybody else went into the building, like combat outposts, and they started getting hit with mortar rounds. And so like the first two were like, whatever, you know. But then they kept coming, and they're like coming like closer and closer, and we like freaked out, and they had a burn like a dig in, and me, Chachi, and Osmos managed to run into there and get into cover. And Winder was stuck in the truck, like he was freaking out, and he was curled up right there in the truck, and he was with some diesel tanks on there, like gasoline in there.
Yeah.
And we're just calling him over, like, Winder, get over here, Winder. He was like, no, we did not want to move. And that was something crazy. That was, yeah. And the guys that got hit with RPGs that were on watch, and they were returning fire back. And I don't think we're going to go out there as QRF too, but they sent their QRF out and handled that. So that was close.
Were you saying some of that? It reminds me that we got. I remember going out on a lot of what they called the poo point of origin with those and having to haul ass out and find where they were shooting from and searching a lot of those areas. I remember doing a lot of that.
Yeah, outside of that one where you guys recovered the rockets, did you ever find anything?
You talking about when we get called out for like when we get mortared and then we're QRF out?
Yeah.
You know what? We got out a lot for those, and I think later on documentaries and other stuff that I watched, that these guys would link them up in like the back of their like motorcycle trucks and stuff, and they would shoot their rounds. So in my mind, we're going out there to find like another mortar team and duke it out like in World War II Vietnam type style, and these guys were doing it off their trucks and bikes and then taking off. So by the time we get out there, they're long gone.
Yeah, that was kind of my point of asking that question. Is like we did a few of those too, and I don't remember ever finding shit. You know, if anything, you found some cigarette butts that were still smoldering and maybe like a water bottle, but usually you didn't find anything. Well, kind of rounding this out, man. Anything else stand out to you towards the end of the deployment?
You were doing showing who is it the leadership of 2-5 around and stuff like that, and then these guys are wanting to feel like we're in like the hardbacks. We have the hardbacks now with us, and they wanted to put get some air in, like roll down the windows and stuff like that. And we're like, "What are you guys doing? Like, you guys are gonna get messed up like that." And then I think one time we were on patrol, and I was a gunner, and I don't know where we were driving to, and one of them was like in one of the high backs or something like that, and we were driving, and I was like either the third vehicle or the last vehicle, and there was this piece of wire just like hanging down, and so instead of like reaching up and touching it with my hand or whatever, I kind of ducked so it didn't touch me, and our antenna on the back like touched it, and then like an explosion goes off in the wires, and then it freaked out the one of those officers that we had with us, and I was just like, "Yep,
Yeah.
you guys are in for some craziness here in Ramadi, man."
Actually, you saying that,
That's
I
kind of
completely forgot about how a lot of you guys up in the turrets almost got killed several times getting guillotined by those wires, and or having your barrels up too high and it catching the wires and getting just
Yeah.
especially when we got those high backs and they were on the turrets and just getting spun around. That ever happened to you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I think usually driving around in like through the streets and stuff like that. I think we would just either tear through the lines or something, or just come very close. So yeah, I think that one specifically just because of the explosion that happened was just got me thinking like these guys are trying to different tactics to try to get us, trying to kill us in different ways. So
I mean, some of it was that. Some of it was just shitty infrastructure. But yeah, yeah,
yeah, true. Yeah.
Don't attribute malice to incompetence.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Right.
Question I was
Okay.
asked was if you remembered any EOD missions, because that kind of reminded me of some of the EOD crap where we were waiting for hours and all kinds of weird stuff would happen when you're just waiting for EOD.
Yeah. Yeah. We I think we were doing I don't know. We were out there and that call in for that Coke can. I think we weren't gonna wait for EOD, so we got the call to just use the 50 cal and then just keep going. Um, there's that one. I think there was a propane that was spotted, and we called that in. I think we waited for EOD on that one. Yeah, like you said, it takes. It's going to take them several hours to get to us, and I remember seeing that propane go off with whatever. I think they probably use C4 or whatever on that, and
Yeah.
detonate that, and you can just see that big ball of fire go off. So, I mean, it was much better than driving and then having IEDs go off. So,
Yeah.
you guys were about we encountered like you guys say like 30 IEDs that just us alone, our platoon alone, right? That's insane. I remember counting like 16 possibly, but 30, that's crazy. I don't think anybody would believe us. Like,
Yeah. So when we first started the deployment, we were making little marks, like little bomb marks on our Humvee for every time we got hit. And when we got to the teens, we just stopped. And that was way early in the deployment. So yeah, it was a lot.
Well, I mean, just
that's
in the truck that I was in alone, I got hit with 4, and then that's not counting the RPG. It's just
yeah.
wild when you actually start adding it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane, man. And especially with the gear we had, we're not going around in like the tanks, or we're not driving around in the Abrams or those A tracks with those armored. We're running around in Humvees and highbacks. So
Yep. Either
kind of
soft
crazy.
skin Humvees or something we bolted some hillbilly armor on. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. You reminded me of something about I remember hearing about the levee, and out there by the arches, I think, and we had a combat engineer there. I think Sergeant Major Mac was out there with us, or First Sergeant Mac.
He was first sergeant at the time. Yeah.
We had an engineer with us, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, there's an ID right there," and we're like right there, and we moved her out, and he was attending to it and was about to disarm it or something, and then that's when they went off on him, and I think he lost his leg on that one, and the guy ran up to. I was told to go run up the hill and then run back down to where the arches are, and then they told us like we're like a name, and I don't know if they gave us a picture of like to find this person or whatnot, and we're like checking the vehicles and coming across one vehicle that had a bunch of American money, and I called it in, and so it was kind of hard trying to get like can't communicate with the people and find out like who they are and stuff like that. So that was kind of one of the annoying parts of that, and trying to find evidence of like who that could have been and things like that. So,
it's funny you mentioned that, because during the invasion and during our deployment, there was no bank system. Iraq had a robust banking system, but it was completely defunct and shut down because it was state run. And so everybody who is major businessmen was running around with suitcases of cash. And so we couldn't figure out who was financing terrorists or who was just trying to hide their money in a shoebox but yeah, you're right. You would find big like drug dealer rolls of money inside suitcases and stuff. I remember we found a guy with like $100,000. We were like, and he's like, I'm just going home. And it's like, I don't know what that means. Like this isn't translating.
Right. Yeah. You're like thinking he's like funding or whatever. You don't know.
We have no idea. Yep.
And yeah, I think one of the other hardest moments, of course, was the Savage, that ID. I know we were QRF for that. That was a tough one to go out there, get your brother, and I think so Doxy was attending him, and I think I remember seeing Riegelsberger in his face, and then I think we got him evacuated at Junction City, I believe. So I remember that part, and then the other one was at the four snipers that got taken out. I know we got QRF with that, and I think before that, I can remember. I think we had Parker with us, Corporal Parker with us, and we had dropped him off on one of the missions beforehand. So I kind of remember we played cards a little bit. It's kind of cool guy, just joking around and stuff like that. So that kind of remember that part, and then just when we got there to QRF, we just seen them in body bags and didn't know like those were some of like that was him in our high back that we got to drive back to was that air base in Al-Assad or something like that.
Yeah. We were actually day taskable, and so we were sent to bring them up to the morgue. So
yeah, that was very tough. A very distinct memory too is like we're back there in the Humvees, and then we're just looking out, and then you can see rigor mortis sit in, and one of the bags, their arms goes up, and you're just like, oh my god, and that was heart wrenching on that one. Like that was just a memory that I can never, that just sticks with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was honestly, that was one of the harder missions for me too. I was happy to do it for our brothers, but at the same time, that was less than fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. I just wanted to get those out there. Just different memories like those. But.
So it sounds like you've you spent a lot of time with Hernandez. Was that your main guy out there, or who are some of the people that you hung out with the most while over in Iraq?
Yeah, It was Hernandez and Ospas, Winder. I think all us four really. We were like the ones that hung out the most together. Remember those guys for sure. We keep in touch every now and then. I haven't got in touch with Winder, but Ospas and Chachi I have. So those two guys we do keep in touch. Martinez, a few of the guys.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Good.
Hodges, of course. Yeah, the reunion, that 20-year reunion was nice to see that. That was the first time, so that was really good to see a lot of the guys and go through that. So
Absolutely.
and Mamo Savage, so that was awesome too. So that was really good.
Well, reeling it back just a little bit, do you kind of remember winding down and the transition away from Hurricane Point and going over to Junction City?
A little bit. I remember just being in those little wooden, I don't know, like rooms or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and oh, the chow halls, of course. Remember a few times being at like during chow hall, like beforehand, and just seeing us as yeah. I was trying to remember. There's you got the like garrison Marines pretty much. They have that mindset like we're all kind of filthy and stuff like that, and we're all just grubbing down, and you're just like like barbarians. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
remember that as barbarians, just in the chow hall while everybody's like looking at us. So that was kind of
Man, I remember thinking that food at Junction City was amazing. And I think it's just because the food at Hurricane Point was so terrible. Because I looked at a picture, somebody had a picture of the food from Junction City, and I found it the other day in some of my pictures. And it looks awful, man. It looks like the shittiest prison food, but like, dude, it was gold to us. I remember being so excited to go to JC.
but they had a nice PX too. We didn't have that at Hurricane Point or any
Yeah,
other place.
no.
So.
Did you buy a bunch of stuff while you're over there, or was?
Yeah, just I was saving money for a car, and that's what I ended up doing. So yeah, didn't really buy a bunch of stuff while I was there.
Nice. What did you buy a car when you got back?
I did.
What'd you buy?
I ended up getting like a Scion TC, man.
Nice.
I remember that car.
That's definitely that's a good Lance Corporal car.
Yeah, exactly, man. Well, I always wanted a truck, but then I was looking at gas prices and all that.
Yeah.
Well, not even gas prices, just how much gas I would take and all that. And I was like, no, I'll just stick with a car. Kind of glad I didn't go the motorcycle route too. Coming back after all that, it was this. I don't know, a little Lance Corporal or PFC with a bike and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back home, you remember any of the flights back home or any of the transition back home?
I think we took like a commercial flight back this time, not a C-130, so that was kind of nice.
Yep.
We got to the barracks. Everybody was had their family like waiting for them. So like my family didn't come out to any of that. So I would I wouldn't see them until I flew back home for that. So
Sure.
So just kind of at the barracks with everybody else and hang out with the Marine brothers.
Nice. How'd you feel when you came back? Were you excited, nervous, didn't know what to do with yourself?
Yeah, I was kind of happy to be out of there and be back on U.S. soil and back home, and yeah, just kind of I don't know, I guess didn't really process everything through yet. So I think all that just kind of hit us later on, and just having to think about all that, and then yeah, just going through a lot of the things like anger and I don't know. It was just kind of crazy when I was home. So a lot of late nights and drinking and just going through all that. So and just keeping in touch with each other, like as we were on leave, and things didn't know how to process all that, I guess. So took some time. It took years.
Well, you actually led me to my next question. So obviously all of us disappeared and now you're the senior Marine. You got to lead Marines on your next deployment. How'd you feel,
Yeah.
kind of taking control and did you teach any lessons of Ramadi or what did you tell your boots about what everything that happened?
We kept the 81s alive, and we just talking to some of my boots. They would say that sometimes they wanted to kill us because the way we were. So we were pretty rough with them and harsh with them, I guess is what they said, or I don't know. But yeah, we wanted to prepare them, but our leadership from before, a lot of either EAS or went to different battalions and stuff like that. So it's different. We had very new leadership or fresh leadership, and so on that, I think yeah, we were the senior Marines, and we had one combat tour with us, and we did our Oki tour, and then '06 we ended up going back out there, but with 2-4, and so like half the unit got split up, which half of us went back to Ramadi and half of us was there in Barwana, Haditha area. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, since you were the most cross-trained Marine, because you were an 0311, they got stuck in a mortar platoon and then also firing a 240 machine gun. Did you ever finally get to fire mortars? Did you finally learn how?
yeah, you know what? I ended up becoming a squad leader at one time before I got busted down.
Nice, man.
Oh, you got
Nice.
busted down.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And so I had that leadership role for a little bit. So I made from the ammo man to, was it the gunner or the A gunner, the one, and then
Hey,
squad leader
Gunner.
at one point. And, yeah.
Nice.
So that was kind of nice. And then just now was my time to teach these guys how to run the mortar system and all that. So
Nice, man.
but yeah, I think uh, I think that position ended up being relieved for me when we went out the second time and going to OSPOS and stuff like that. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, that was kind of a different change when we went out there, and being out there in Barwana was, we're in my mind I was expecting the same kind of type of scenarios and situations like Ramadi, but wasn't anything uh, as crazy as that. So
Yeah, that seems to be the common sentiment among the guys who stayed in.
so thankful for that. I mean, I'm thankful because some of our guys that were our boots, after uh, that they ended up going to Afghanistan, some of them and stuff like that. So I'm hoping like our leadership and what we taught them was passed down to them, and they were able to get through those areas. So yeah, that does feel good that we were able to come back and have most of our guys come back. So
That's good, man. Well, kind of wrapping this up and putting a bow on it. I've asked most everybody the same question. I'll ask you the same thing. When you look back on this, it's 22 years later. What do you tell people and what does it mean to you?
I just tell them about our time in Ramadi, and then talk to them about this podcast and to check it out, and then how you guys are doing interviews with us, and
Nice, man. Thank you for the plug. I actually meant more like what about your personal feelings, man? What do you how do you explain all this to everybody going through heavy combat and all that, and really kind of, I mean, you said it was kind of tough to process later. I'm just curious, how do you, I mean, explain it to either other Marines or to your family or anybody.
it's hard to explain. I mean, it's it's like you can't really like you try to share some of your stories, but sometimes it's hard to get it out. So sometimes like doing this with you guys, that's kind of like helps us out, and hopefully it helps other people out. And I don't know. I mean, it was a tough time to get through that and make it out, and uh, uh, just keep I don't know, just keep pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, looking back on your time in the Marine Corps, how do you feel about it? Are you happy, hate it, ashamed of it? What do you how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy for what signing up, and then I mean, I only did 4 years.
Mhm.
Some of the guys are still in there and kicking. You
Yeah.
know, there's
Yeah.
so that I applaud them, and then man, it's just crazy, you know. But no, I'm very fortunate for my 4 years with them, with you guys, and just serving.
If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe for future episodes on your favorite podcast service.